we kick off the midterm election year with Congress back at work this morning. I spoke with GOP leader Kevin McCarthy yesterday and his expectations for the November election. Watch this.
That number 25 is a very big number for Democrat retirements. In 2010, when we won the majority, 17 Democrats retired, already 25. I expect that number to be up to over 30 Democrat retirements because they see what the future holds and they see what the numbers. We need people to join with us to be able to fire Nancy Pelosi. We want to earn enough that we have a governing majority. That means getting in the realm of 20 and higher. If we are fortunate enough to win 35 Republican seats, that would be the largest Republican majority in more than 100 years.
Joining me right now is former George W. Bush senior advisor, Fox News contributor Karl Rove. Karl, it's great to see you this morning. Happy New Year to you.
Good morning.
Your reaction to what you just heard from Kevin McCarthy?
Well, I think he's right. I have a friend, Dr. John Petrosik. He was the head of the government department at the University of Missouri and taught at UCLA for many years. John points out there are 5 sort of models that we use to project House of Representative elections, so-called surge and decline. What was the effect in the last presidential race? Presidential performance, basically the job approval, and retirements. Now, these 3 we can use to project what the election might look like today. There are 2 others, campaign spending and candidate quality, that can't be used until later. But if you look at retirements, John Petrosik pointed out to me the Democratic retirements today are just over 10% of the total Democrat numbers in the House. The Republican retirements are 6%. That 4% Republican advantage in retirements would, if you look at the historical since World War II trends, would generate a 40-seat advantage for Republicans. Now, on the other hand, surge and decline, normally what happens is when a president wins election, wins the White House, he carries in a large number of people in marginal seats on his coattails. That didn't happen in 2020. The Republicans actually picked up 13 seats, 12 in November and 1 in a special election before that. So that points to a 12 to 13 seat Republican pickup. And presidential job approval would point to 18, given what the president's number is today. So the average of that is 23. And if that's the case, then the Republicans go from 213 to 235 or 36. And I think that's where they're going to end up.
Why are so many Democrats retiring, in your view, Karl?
Well, because they know they're going to lose. You know, if you're a committee chairman, you're Peter DeFazio of Oregon, and you've been the chairman of the Transportation Committee, Democrats don't have term limits. So if you're a committee chair, Maxine Waters, Financial Services, you can stay there forever. Republicans have term limits on how long you can be there. But if you're Chairman DeFazio or Chairman Waters, you say, really, I want to come back and be in the minority after being the chairman and having all the additional staff and prestige? No. So John Yarmouth of Kentucky, who's the budget chairman, says, I'm out of here. DeFazio says, I'm out of here. Senior Democrats say, members of the leadership team say, you know what, it was fun. It was fun being in the majority. It won't be so much fun to be in the minority because in all likelihood, once they go into the minority, it's not going to be 2 years. It's probably not going to be 4 years. It could be 6 or 8 years, depending on who wins the presidential contest in 2024.
Well, the Democrats are trying hard to ensure that doesn't happen in the Republican ranks. They're pushing through these voting bills so that they can stay in power longer. What's your take on the voting bills that the Democrats are pushing right now? Politico writes this morning. The big question Democrats will be watching for answers to is the president's speech in Atlanta tomorrow. Will Biden make a more forceful case for reforming the filibuster? Your thoughts?
My thoughts is that this is way over the top. Delaware, the home state of the President of the United States, will allow, for the first time ever in its history, early voting in 2022. Texas has had it for some 40 years. Georgia's had it for decades. And yet Georgia and Texas are vote suppression, and Delaware is what? So I look at this as even after Delaware begins to vote early next year, it still has fewer days and it's more difficult to do than Texas or Georgia. And yet Georgia and Texas are being picked out by the president as examples of vote suppression when his own state has never allowed early in-person voting like these states have allowed. So a lot of this is they want to grab control of the election process. They're willing to denigrate states that have open and expansive efforts. Both Georgia and Texas expanded early voting in the legislation that they passed in 2021. Think about that. In Texas, we moved, for example, we required days that had been previously optional, and we lowered the threshold. No longer did you have to be a county of 100,000 in order to have early voting. Now it dropped down to 55,000. That it was mandatory that you have it. Georgia expanded the number of days that people had, including Sundays, so black churches could have the souls to the polls to get out the vote efforts. And yet they're being denigrated by this president and by the Democrats when the home state of the president, Delaware, has never allowed early voting, and New York is notorious for being one of the most difficult states in the country to vote absentee in. So, this is about politics. This is about denigrating states that are red in order to advance an agenda that is a power takeover. Let's have the federal government now in charge of administrating local elections. The recipe for disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking power away from the states, and that's their new talking points. You see Kamala Harris talking all about voting. Don't mess with our right to vote. They've got their storyline going. Kevin McCarthy also yesterday told me that if and when the GOP does take back the majority in the House, that they will hold the administration accountable for all of these crises. Watch him. Watch this.
If we are fortunate to be able to earn the trust of the American people and earn the majority, we will secure this border to stop the human trafficking and the drugs flowing across. We'll make it easier to open a small business, not harder. We'll make America energy independent again, the gasoline price lower, to be able to manufacture here in America. We will pass the Parents' Bill of Rights. This is just a start, but at the same time, this administration, with one-party rule in 1 year, has no accountability, and we will be able to hold them accountable and get America back on the right track.
Karl, what about that? I mean, you still have a Democrat president, and we don't know where the Senate will go. Will the Republicans be able to make change in this agenda, address some of these crises, should they take the majority in November?
I think so. And look, there are two things that Leader McCarthy said there, and I want to pay attention to both of them. One thing he said was we're going to hold the administration accountable by holding hearings on what they're, for example, doing on the border and what happened in Afghanistan. But he devoted more time in his message to we're going to lay out an agenda. We're going to pass a Parents' Bill of Rights. We're going to pass legislation to secure the border. He's talking about a positive agenda. We're going to do more to make certain that small businesses can flourish and prosper. This is really important. Republicans cannot simply be, we're the people who are going to say no, and we're the people who are going to hold the administration account by holding hearings. They've got to be people who say to the voters of America in 2022, we have an agenda. We're talking about ideas to make your health care better, your job and your company more prosperous, to put the parents in charge of their kids' education, to limit the power of government and expand the power of the individual. These are all very, very important for Republicans to be talking about in 2022. We can't simply be no. We can't simply be we're going to hold you to account in hearings. It's got to be a positive agenda.
All right. We will keep watching all of that. Karl, good to see you this morning.